Hey, this is Max here, and in this tutorial I want to show you how you can create an abandoned cart automation inside ActiveCampaign so that you can recover lost sales. So let's dive right in and then I'll show you how you can do that. So what we want to achieve is that when someone is visiting your checkout page and they do not purchase the product, then half an hour to an hour later, we want to send them an email that says something like, hey, I noticed that you wanted to purchase, in this case, my workshop, but you didn't. Do you maybe still have any questions? Or are you ready to buy now? In that case, just press the link below and it will take them back to our cart. So to do that, we can do two different things. We can use ActiveCampaign site tracking, or we can use the integration of your cart tool. So depends a bit on what cart software you're using. I'm, for example, using Thrivecart, and with Thrivecart, you can automatically add a tag when someone is abandoning the cart. So that is pretty cool. And in ActiveCampaign, what you also have is you also have deep integrations for example, Shopify or WooCommerce, and then you can use that on the Plus, Professional or Enterprise plan. But I'm not going to talk about deep data integration today. I will leave that for another tutorial. I want to make this tutorial for people that are, for example, using Thrivecart, Samcart, or any of the other standalone cart platforms. So what we want to do is when people are visiting this page, but then they're not purchasing, we want to start this automation. So what we do over here is we have two triggers. So for the two different scenarios that we have. So in the first one, if a tag gets added, then the automation will start. In the second one, if someone visits the checkout page, then the automation will start. But you can see there's quite a lot going on here. So let me just explain them one by one. So over here in the first trigger, the automation will start when this tag gets added: sales, abandonment, ActiveCampaign workshop. So this tag is added in my case by Thrivecart. So I'm using Thrivecart. I absolutely love Thrivecart, can definitely recommend them. And what you can do with Thrivecart is that you have your product. So here, for example, I have my ActiveCampaign workshop, and then you can set up a behavior for that product. And then I can just say, okay, on cart abandon, add tag using ActiveCampaign. And then if I edit this, you can also see what happens. So then say, okay, use ActiveCampaign, add the tag sales abandoned ActiveCampaign workshop. And then what I also do here is that I say only run on specific locations, only run this outside the European Union. Because what happens, how Thrivecart does this, and they explain it also here on this page, they're basically triggering your abandoned cart when someone will enter at least their email address, and then they leave the field and then quit your checkout page. So they're giving you their email address, and then after 15 to 30 minutes, as long as the customer hasn't come back to check out and or complete their purchase, we will fire an event and then it will pass the email to ActiveCampaign. So that is pretty cool, but if you're based in the AU, then you really want to make sure that you check this on, because people otherwise don't give you permission for their email address. So then you're not allowed to do that. So I just did this. So when someone is entering their email address in here, for example, they go to another field, then they leave the page and they are not coming back, then that tag will be added to that profile of the contact in ActiveCampaign, and then this automation will start. But you can see that I also created some segments. So here I said, okay, start this automation when this tag is added, and then segments the contact entering this automation. So that means that that contact will only enter the automation when this all is a match. All these conditions are a match. So if the contact is not currently in this automation yet, and the tag does not exist, purchased ActiveCampaign workshop, because what is also really cool with Thrivecart is that you can also automatically on purchase add a tag to ActiveCampaign, so that we also know like, hey, this person actually purchased the product and has not visited a URL that contains checkout success and then the name of my product. So that is this page over here that I'm using. So when someone is visiting this page, then I can just say like, okay, if someone is visiting a page that contains this URL, then I also know that they purchased the product. And why am I excluding both the tag and with site tracking? That's because it also often happens that people are purchasing with a different email address than the one that's maybe already on your list. And then you would not know if that person already bought it or not. But if you're using site tracking, then it's more likely that you can track this correctly. So again, this automation with this trigger will only start when this tag gets added and someone is not currently in this automation, they do not have the purchase tag, and they did not visit a URL that contains my checkout page for that product. Then the second trigger is when someone visited a page. So instead of an integration with a cart tool, what we're doing now is we just say, look, okay, start this automation when someone is visiting a page for this domain with this URL. So checkout, ActiveCampaign, a workshop, and then a wildcard. So then when they visit this page, and they are already on our list, obviously, you cannot do this for anonymous people, then the automation will start if these conditions are met. So someone is not currently in the automation, they did not purchase the product yet, and they also did not visit the checkout success page. Then the automation will start, and then we wait for 30 minutes because we need to give that person some time to check out, right? Like we need to give them time to purchase, because if they would just visit this page and we send them an email right away, like, hey, you left your order, or please go back to this page, then that would not be great. So you have to wait for at least 30 minutes. And then after those 30 minutes, you want to check, did this person purchase the offer, yes or no? So we're doing that with an if else. So we have our if else over here, and then we just check here, tag, exist, event, purchased, ActiveCampaign workshop, or has visited a URL that contains checkout success / this page that I showed you earlier, ever. So if that is a match, or if that person bought it in the meanwhile, they will follow the yes path. Then we go to another action, and then we remove this tag. So the sales abandonment ActiveCampaign workshop tag, and then we just end the automation. If that is not the case, if they do not have the tag and did not visit the success page, then we send an email. So this is the email that we're going to send. So over here, we just start with, hey, John, if we know the first name, or we say, hey. So we're doing this with conditional content. Conditional content you can use on the plus plan and above, and then you can just go over here, and then you go to manage conditions, and then you can say, okay, I want this block to show when the first name exists. And the other one is the other way around here. We say, okay, show this if the first name does not exist. And then we just start with, hey, I saw that you were about to purchase the ActiveCampaign workshop, but then didn't complete your order. Just reply to this email if you have any questions, and I will try to get back to you as fast as I can. And if you're ready, then I want to invite you to jump on board. You can complete your order here, then my signature variable, and then PS, if you don't like the workshop for some reason, you won't have to pay for it. Just write to me within 30 days and let me know where it left you hanging, and I will refund your full investment with a smile. So this link is a little bit of a special link. So we're linking back to this page, but what we also want to do is we want to pre-fill the information that we already know about that person. So to do that, we can add variables to our URL. You can see that over here. So it's a little bit taggy, but here we have our URL. And then this depends on your card software. But for example, with Thrivecart, we can say this, okay, pass through customer first name, and then we enter the first name ActiveCampaign personalization tag. So the first name of the contact will automatically be added to the URL, and also their last name. And if we do not know their last name, it will just be blank, which is also fine. And then also their email address. So if I would send this email over to a person, so this is one of my fake email addresses, send test, then we go over to that inbox, and then you see that it just arrived. And then you see the email over here. So now when I click this link, so I click it, then you see that Emma's data is already added to the URL over here. You see here that it says Emma, her last name is Doe, and then also her email address, Emma Doe, will be added because she was already in contact. So now this will already be pre-filled out, which makes it maybe a tiny bit more likely that they're going to complete the form. So this is the email that we're going to use. Then we'll go back over to the automation. And then what we do after we send that email, and you do not necessarily have to do that, but I, for example, like to wait for 1 week. And then after 1 week, I basically want to end the automation. So why do I have this wait in here? That is basically because I say here, okay, wait until someone is not currently in this automation. I'm doing that with both of these triggers. So if someone would, for example, visit the checkout page multiple times a day, I do not want to send this email multiple times. But if they're currently in the automation for a week, that means that this automation is not going to trigger for a whole week. So then after that week, I end the automation basically. I remove this tag also. And I remove that tag because then Thrivecart can add the same tag again. If you do not remove the tag, ActiveCampaign cannot add the same tag twice because the profile already has that tag. And then one more thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to add a goal because I want to track how many people actually purchase my workshop after they got this email. So I want to know the effectiveness of this automation. So to do that, I added a goal, and a goal is beneficial for two things. Because with a goal, when the conditions are met inside our goal, someone will jump to the goal right away. So if someone would get this email, they go into the wait. And then if they're in this wait and after day 2, for example, or right away they purchase it, then boom, they will continue to the goal and they will exit the automation right away. Just keeps things a little bit more clean. And we can also just look at our reports to see how it's actually performing. So the goal is set up like this. I just added the name here, purchased after email. And then 2 conditions are met. So what I did here, has been sent your order, ActiveCampaign workshop. So this is the email. So I want to make sure that people actually received that email for that goal to trigger, because otherwise I just want to end the automation. And then here I say end. I want to check if the tag exists, sales purchased ActiveCampaign workshop, or has visited a URL that contains checkout success and the product name. So then when somebody is purchasing after they got this email, they will just jump over here right away. But if someone would enter this automation and during these 30 minutes they will purchase, they will just follow this one. And then I do not want to measure with a goal the effectiveness of this email because this email has not even been sent yet. So yeah, I hope this was clear. You can also get a copy of this automation below in the video description so that you can just import it and change it to your own needs. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below.